Hello, my name is Christopher Cote, and today I'm going to share briefly what my poster is about, titled Graphic Design Students as End Users. First, I'd like to share my abstract to paint an overall picture before diving in briefly to a few of the specifics of this poster. So here we go. Typography is one of the distinguishing factors that separates graphic designs from other disciplines. Teaching expressive typography to first-year graphic design students is valuable because it affords the students the space to learn the fundamental principles and systems of graphic design, while also enabling students to communicate feeling through experimentation with letter forms bound only by legibility. Adeo defines the human-centered design process as a six-phase cycle: observation, ideation, rapid prototyping, user feedback, iteration, and implementation. You can see those here on each side here. One assignment of the first year graphic design studio class was planned within this human-centered design framework, and as a result, over the course of the semester, students participated in expressive letter workshops, allowing for the application and adaptation of the human-centered design cycle on the students' understandings and physical work before the summative expressive word assignment. So the three workshops are here in yellow, and then the final assignment, informed by what they learned here, is on the right in blue. So this proposal, or this research so far, kind of seeks to answer what happens when expressive typography, an expressive typography assignment is developed through the lens of this human-centered design process, situating the first-year graphic design students as the end users. So, as I said, the first three workshops that were throughout the semester are in yellow, and then the very final assignment of this class, which applied a lot that was learned here, and also the structure of human-centered design in this final assignment. So, really quickly, just to share what these assignments are, which are briefly explained here, but more in depth in the letter to word workshops here, and then this final assignment, what it is here on the left. But basically, the first one is a bitmap workshop and a letter workshop, and the second one is an expressive lowercase a, and then the third, students made an alphabet with the objects around them during the quarantine when we moved online. So in the first assignment, and often there's a similar structure, or it's almost identical in the workshops and the final assignment, just the final assignment's more in depth, but the first assignment's often the structure is that I would give a bit of a lecture followed by them observing the letter forms. Then they would ideate through sketching or creating quickly with paper cutouts from black paper, or observing objects and other textures with their cameras. So the third stage, as I said, is rapid prototyping, depending on which workshop. So in this bitmap one, they're kind of reverse engineering Helvetica letters to be more pixelated. And it's a different way to observe and create bitmap letters, but they also always had the opportunity to create their own optional letters. After this stage, we always had a group discussion and critique in the classroom for user feedback. Then they selected one of their letters, and then the interesting thing here is that after they've chosen one letter, we had to discuss what those features are in that letter that makes it interesting, and how could you extend that into a three-letter word. So this student chose letter E, and they had to understand and figure out and discuss with their peers and myself how to extend the features of that E to the beginnings of like a typeface. So to create the word end, as well as this B for the word big, and then M to create the word map. And I guess I don't want to forget that, I mean, it's written in the description, but these were done with markers. These were done after they chose, they had to do it on their computer in Adobe Illustrator. So similar to this one, except for it's more focused on, so they cut these out of paper. This one was more focused on creating expressive letter A's first. So they had some required words like sassy, messy, angry, and they had to express those feelings through forms as well as push legibility to understand what makes up a character before trying to create a full set. Well, not a full set, but a few characters that would create a word based off of the characteristics of the one letter they chose. That's the final workshop was a little bit different in that they were observing objects as letter forms, and then they created an alphabet as a class. So they created, I assigned one letter or more to each student, and then they created several letter I's, for example, before selecting one, getting feedback, and then they all had a full alphabet to create words and compositions that are words that they're feeling during this time of quarantine. So the idea is that by following this structure of the human-centered design process, as well as teaching these fundamentals, that throughout the semester, just 2 hours each time, that by the time we got to the final assignment of this class, which was you choose a 4-letter word, and then you have to create the letter forms that express that word's meaning through modular typography and expressive typography. So to jump past these steps really quickly to the final product so you can get an idea of what that looks like, the student chose the word slow. The top is the modular word. You can see some of the iterations here of how he made that word modular, and then some of the iterations before he made an expressive word on the bottom for the word slow. This person chose the word rash, slip, and then haze. So popping back to the top really quickly, these are some of the historical references I gave them before making them go out and brainstorm and ideate through drawings and photography. Then rapid prototyping as many ideas as they can think of in black and white only. Then taking their top picks and discussing as a class which choices they should pursue farther, adding color into their iterations, and then creating these final results. I should say that what I've included here is a very, very little sampling of what students did over the course of a 3-week period to create these final products. So I guess the last thing I'd like to say before you inspect my poster is that what I was trying to get at, and I've begun to research here, is that previous design research that argues that products founded by the human-centered design process benefit the end user. But here I'm arguing that graphic design instruction framed through this process also benefits end users, students in this case, to have a stronger understanding of the design process and the design products that they create.